An oil filter. Oil is the lifeblood of your engine, right? And we want to filter that. Just like the blood running through your veins, it's got to be right if it's going to last long. Let's talk about the differences with oil filters today, because there is a big difference depending on your vehicle, your needs, your wants. And you might be surprised to learn that what you're getting is maybe not what you need. Here on today at DGsTV at DG's Pro Tech. So we're gonna start off this video by giving a quick shout out to my buddy Dale at Dirty Dale's Diesel down in Indiana, Shelbyville, I believe if I'm not right. I'm supposed to be partying with that guy in Panama City right now, but stinking COVID, and I'm stuck up in here in Canada, and he's partying with a blow-up doll version of me down in the vacation land.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
So I had to put his hat on today. I know it clashed with the red truck behind me, probably clashed with our company colors. I don't care, because you got to shout out to your brothers, right? Today, oil filters. What do you need to know? Well, who cares, right? This is boring stuff. No, it's important. Quick basics. This is an oil filter. This is an oil filter. This is called a cartridge filter. This is called a canister, or a spin-on, as most companies will call it. I have a whole bunch of empty boxes in front of me, and I'm not going to tell you which one belongs in which box, because this is not a brand specific shout out negatively towards anybody. It's more to inform you, the customer, of the differences. This spin-on is a metal casing, and inside of this, more or less, this is what's in there, okay? Vehicle designs over the years, typically spin-on metal filters, spun on, filled full of oil, oil goes through, filters, and goes back out. No different than an air filter, a furnace filter in your house, you know, those breathing filters going on our faces. Yeah, guys, we're gonna hit on that. But what's actually inside of this may change very much drastically from brand to brand. And back in the spin-on days, which still exist on modern automobile vehicles, you can't see what's in here. So I'm gonna put this one down. We're gonna talk specifically about the cartridge style ones and some few differences that you can see, because if you can see what's different here, you can just assume what might be different cutting one open in there. So, other basics then of filters. Filters are rated on a few things. Filters are rated on their micron rating, which is the actual ability to filter out impurities. They are based on their brand, will change, and within each brand, typically you'll have a few levels. You know, guys will talk and make the joke about white box, right? There's your white box. I don't see a name on that, but I see a nice colorful label on a lot of these other ones. Is white box bad? As a professional, not necessarily. It's a matter of what came in that white box, who suspected it was good or bad, and a good counterparts person or counter salesperson for your automotive parts should know the pros and the cons to each one here, regardless of the bias, what he's selling at, okay? So one of the most controversial filters in the market, which goes along with one of the most controversial engines in the market, is your Power Stroke 6-liter, and the 6.4, its older brother or younger brother that came out. And this filter, this filter, this filter, see how good I am at counting, this filter, which is a dirty one, this filter, are all different brands that all belong in that engine. Or do they? One of these filters is an OEM filter. One of these filters I just showed you is an AMSOIL filter. Everybody loves the AMSOIL brand, right? One of these filters is a Wix, is a Baldwin, is a Parker, is a Lubrifiner, is a Fram, whatever the case may be. Each one is different, slightly. Why? Well, specifically what we do know about this specific filter, the changes you might see in this filter would be in the micron rating. Believe it or not, the changes you might see in this filter, if we actually microed them, where they click into a cartridge filter, I should back up. It usually goes into a cap like that, snaps in, and it gets threaded down in, or in, or in, very similar to your metal one spun on. It's just a way a manufacturer has more options of where he puts the filter in the system to make it for better geometry within his engine bay, limitations in space as vehicle gets smaller, lighter, faster, better, made the changes. But that didn't mean the filter had to lose out. However, OEM, which is on original equipment manufacturers, don't typically, believe it or not, build their own filter. They outsource, just like everything else in this world. Ford has their own brand. It's called Motorcraft. That is their filter brand. There are OEM filters. You believe it, you go to your dealer, you're not buying a Ford filter, you're buying a Motorcraft filter. It says Ford on the box, right? Yeah, because Motorcraft makes it for Ford. Who makes it for Motorcraft? Does Motorcraft make it for Motorcraft? Believe it or not, it's made by a company called Parker. Parker makes a damn good filter. You go to your local auto store and ask for a Parker filter, they're gonna look at you like you have two heads, because it's a wholesale brand. It's one that you, the consumer, typically can't pick up. Now, maybe in your geography range of where you live, you might be able to. Maybe your inside-outside sales guys might be able to. But regardless, and the OEMs actually might change, like who made that filter 2 years ago, 5 years ago. It gets bidded off to somebody based on quality and price. It's the way the world works. So, how do we get into a mess where we have a filter that's not quality? Again, quality, price, reputation, brand. This filter is the OEM filter, okay? That's your OEM spec. So what do we know about this filter? Well, you'll notice in the top it has 4 little things that click into the OEM cap, right? And it fits tight. Life is good, right? It fits down into the bottom of cavity. Now in this specific cavity, there is a bypass valve. So when we unthread this, all of the oil in here, might be a quart and a half, is allowed to drain away quickly. But what if your oil filter spec was slightly different and it didn't close that bypass valve off completely? Now your pressurized cavity is slightly less pressurized. That's a problem. What happens when your blood pressure changes? It's gotta be on spec. Is that something you're gonna measure? No, the gauge tells you you're good to go and away you go. What if the micron rating isn't good enough and some of the impurities going through this filter are passing through, things are getting filtered? How do you know? You won't know until way, way high in mileage. Why does one customer's vehicle last 300,000 miles and the other customer's vehicle lasts 150,000 miles? And it typically goes back to maintenance. The quality of your filter, the quality of your oil in those bulk tanks that are coming out of your shop will determine the longevity, or it's a big factor in the longevity of your vehicle. So, some bad examples of the aftermarket jumping at it. Here's a filter that used to look like this, and then it went in and got used. Notice it's crushed. Why? There was some form of restriction here. It's possible that the plastic guide that these things have inside them that supports the filter isn't strong enough. Oil temperatures might be 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Right? It's 100 degrees Celsius, give or take, for our Canadian and imperial, non-imperial customers. Notice at the top it's curved over. I don't like this. This came out of a vehicle that we serviced here at DG's ProTech. We didn't put it in, but we pulled it out, and this is a problem, right? That filter should not have distorted. Might have been temperature. Might have been the actual amount of pressure it was under, because maybe it had blocked completely and it needed to bypass. One thing to be said, in all of these filters, typically, depending on what the OEM wants, there's a built-in bypass valve. So when it's full, it doesn't stop oil flow, but it's letting dirty oil pass. That's what happens when your oil change goes way beyond its expectancy, okay? Here's another example of a poor filter, not the same application. This application is for a 3.6-liter Penn-Star motor that Chrysler loves to use. It is also a cartridge design, very popular in the Dodge Caravans, Jeep, Ram V6 pickups. Very popular engine, works really good. When the filter starts to get these waves in it, because it came out of its cartridge cap, that's a problem. Look, it's even starting to come apart where I can turn it. If I reef on this thing, I could probably break it. That's no good. The OEM filter typically won't do that, okay? But the OEM filter might cost. You know, this filter from this brand, let's say it's $3, and the OEM one is $7. You want to save on $4 for your engine? Let's say your engine's $5,000. How long are you keeping that vehicle? Do you care? Is there mandating for what the dealer or the shop you use needs to use? No, there is not. They get to choose and use whatever they want. So ask questions. Ask us questions. We'll tell you what the best is, because we've tested them all. Something interesting about bypass valves. You know, here's one that has a bypass valve built into the top of it. You actually hear it clicking around in there, right? This one has one too, but it looks different. It's got a little ball valve in there. It doesn't move anymore, but there's a little ball valve right there, trust me. But why doesn't the OEM one have one there? That's weird. Patents is the answer. You make a product and it's awesome. You want to patent that, S-H-I-T. You want to make sure that you're the only one that can sell it up to that spec. However, this company or this company or this company or this company or this company wants to make their own filter. There's a certain amount of time that patent's going to run out, and then they can make it identical to you. But in the meantime, they have to change something to sell it. Here's an example of a filter. I'm not going to tell you which brand again. That cap doesn't fit really good. Interestingly enough, that cap is part with that filter. So goes to the automotive shop, they pull this out. They should only change this. But they didn't even know that came apart because the technician just grabbed the one off the shelf. Oh, I must just throw all of this out. Problem is now, this filter fits this cap. It's actually one. But this filter doesn't fit that cap, nor does any of these other cartridge style filters. What if the next technician, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna know that he needs to now buy you one of these or sell you one of these? No, he's gonna try and reef that out, and now we've got filter problems. Talk about reputations on vehicles going down quite quickly when they start to fail because of the differences in on my shelf 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or more different styles. There's a lot that goes into an oil filter. And you guys are gonna ask me which ones are my favorites. I'm gonna keep that a secret. If you want to message on it, if you want to make more comments on this video, I'll start spitting out some good answers. You may not like my answers, I don't care, that's the way it works. They are my professional opinions from our testing. What you guys need to take away from this video is oil filters make a huge difference. What could be 50 cents to $1 on an oil filter makes a huge difference. And you really have to know what's in a filter, and the sales rep might not even know. Sometimes a little bit of independent testing goes a long way. A couple of good examples here. This, I'll let out of the bag. This is the AMSOIL version of that factory filter I showed you. That AMSOIL filter, I believe off the top of my head, is a $35 filter. The OEM filter is around a $25 filter. If I mic these and spec these, they're actually identical versus the other one beside there. Talked about those ball valves. Notice there's no ball valve on the top of that. Also not in the AMSOIL. Now, if you held this one when it was clean and this one was clean, the weight in this is actually more of a fiber filter membrane versus more of a paper fiber filter membrane. Doesn't make it bad or good, its micron rating is likely different. But it's just an example of how the aftermarket in this case has followed as closely to the OEM as possible. Now, I'm not saying the AMSOIL is my favorite, I'm just giving you a good example to that question. What's in a filter? I guess that's all I'm gonna leave you with here. Dustin from DG's ProTech here in Listowel, Ontario. Make sure if you like these videos, just subscribe, find that subscribe button and hit it. I don't know where it is on the screen right now. Instagram, Facebook, all of those social media platforms, you will find us on there. Google, we try and hit the Google My Business, follow up those messages as quick as we can. Good old phone call, 519-418-AUTO, which is 2886 there. We're located in Listowel, Ontario. We're here to give you the information you need as the consumer. It's all I have for the boring old thing, what's in an oil filter.